the official page of Radio Caribbean International, and we are also live on YouTube as yes, the official page of Radio Caribbean International as well. So if you want, you can jump on over there and get a little bit more up close and personal with our show this morning. This morning we've got the honor of having in our presence the wonderful, amazing, talented, intelligent, all of the accolades coming, baby girl. She's joining us all the way from Nebraska, and Amy Casselle is the name. So she's quite interesting, and her journey is one of inspiration as well. And we're hoping that through her story this morning, this program gets to do what it was set out to do, which is inspire at least one person. If that would be enough. That would be enough. But I'm sure we're going to be inspiring a lot more this morning. But stay with us. We've got to mention our partners. They have made this possible for quite some time now. That's the First National Bank. We appreciate you. And also Courts St. Lucia. We take a word from them and then we will be back.
National Bank is dedicated to providing financial security through our creditor life insurance scheme, designed to offer peace of mind in managing your loans and debts with us. We understand the stress that financial obligations can bring, especially in unforeseen circumstances. That's why our creditor life insurance, offered at the best market rates, ensures that your First National Bank loans are covered, alleviating the worry for you and your loved ones. Our partnership with leading insurance providers means that you benefit from comprehensive coverage that is both affordable and reliable. We offer tailored solutions that fit your specific needs, ensuring that your financial legacy is protected. With First National Bank, you can be confident that your financial commitments are secure, giving you the freedom to focus on what matters most in life. First National Bank, here for you.
Courtyard sale is back, and it's better than ever. Get ridiculously low prices on slightly damaged and repossessed items on both cash and credit purchases. Yes, you heard right. For 3 days only, from Thursday, April 25th to Saturday, April 27th. The place to be is at the Courts Distribution Center in Bois. Get huge discounts on a wide range of products on cash or credit. This coming Thursday, April 25th to Saturday, April 27th at the Courts Distribution Center in Bois. Don't you miss it.
Well, all right, here we are. Welcome to She Speaks for today. It's time now to bring up my guest on screen, and that's the amazing and beautiful Amy Casselle. Amy, I want to take the opportunity to say good morning to you and thank you for joining us all the way from Nebraska. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's so good to speak with you today, this morning, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an honor, girl. Let me tell you, you're doing the things. Well, on She Speaks, 30 minutes goes by really quickly, and I believe we've got a lot to cover. I want to get into as much as possible because I really admire the path that you've undertaken. Not just the path, but the way that you've defied the odds. What it showed itself to be, and you decided no, but I want to do it that way. And you did not give up on that hope at all and that vision, and you're actually marrying your two worlds today in a brilliant way. So we're gonna come to that in a minute. We're gonna come to that in a minute. We're gonna come to that in a minute. But first, we'd like to find out a little bit more about Amy before all of this. Where was Amy born? What was growing up like for Amy? What kind of a child were you? Were you one of the troublesome one?
Not even remotely. My mom used to tell me all the time, like she was like, please go out, like go do something with friends. I mean, I obviously born in St. Lucia, over at Victoria Hospital, so I'm assuming, for my mom. But I did my primary school over at Colonel Henry, which is where my brother also went to ahead of me, and then ended up at St. Joseph's Convent for my secondary education. But no, I was quite an avid reader as a kid. I liked reading, and my mom would get so upset with me. She'd be like, "Even there's not enough books for you. Like, you need to slow down." But also, I was really into math. I was the really weird kid. My mom and my aunt had a restaurant in Castries,
Mm-hmm.
and on Saturday mornings, I remember I would have to go with my mom to the restaurant at like 5:30 in the morning,
Right.
and I would just bring a book and I would make my mom write division problems on it. She wouldn't even know what she was writing. She would just put like very large numbers and just put it there and be like, all right, solve this. And I would just find so much excitement from that. I don't even know why. I loved it. I could just
Oh.
be so busy just doing a division problem.
Wow. Oh man. Right. And you said a brother, so you do have siblings?
Yeah, just one.
Just one. All right. Wonderful. What are some of the principles you think that was instilled in you in your growing years that has contributed to the person that you are today?
I I really have to commend my mom for a lot of it, and the fact that uh, I mean, and I commend the fact that growing up in St. Lucia, which is a country that just has so many women in such high positions, I remember a lot of times my mom would look at me when something would happen and she would be like, Amy, I need you to remember that you can do just as much as any man and you can do it twice as well. And that really stuck with me because I know a lot of people, when they think of mathematics, they're like, oh, it's not a subject for girls, it's a subject for boys kind of thing. There's this weird sort of hardwiring where a lot of people are told, oh, well, it's just because I'm a girl, I can't do math kind of thing. And it's just a really odd way to grow up thinking. And so I'm very glad my mom didn't set those boundaries on me when I was growing up. And actually, I remember there was a point, I was maybe in standard one, standard two, we were doing some problem solving, and I was having a bit of a hard time at that stage. And I remember my mom just sat me down and she's like, we're going to get it. And it's funny because my mom says after I got into secondary school, she's like, that's it. I can't help you with math anymore. That's my limit is
Oh.
gone. But she was just really adamant about trying to make sure that I did my best and I got through with it. And it's funny because no one else in the family likes math. My dad is very clear that if he couldn't do a CXC in mathematics, his school would have let him not do it because he was so bad at math. Um, but yeah, it's just something that I mean, part of it I think is just that feeling of just knowing that there were just so many women that I admired that were able to just show me that I could do it as well. That if I wanted to, I could do it. But also just that kind of just persevering. Sometimes knowing that if I didn't get something, that maybe I just had to take another look at it at another time and
Right.
hopefully get it.
Wonderful. This is all good. We need to take a short break from our partners. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about where you are today, your study, what led you into that path and where you are today and how it is that you think, I like kidding you on that. I like chiding you on that because what you're into, it seems so relevant right now
Mm.
for back home. So I want to chide you on that as well. But when we come back from a word from our partners, we'll get into that.
Courtyard sale is back and it's better than ever. Get ridiculously low prices on slightly damaged and repossessed items on both cash and credit purchases. Yes, you heard right. For 3 days only. From Thursday, April 25th to Saturday, April 27th. The place to be is at the Courts Distribution Center in Bois. Get huge discounts on a wide range of products on cash or credit. This coming Thursday, April 25th to Saturday, April 27th at the Courts Distribution Center in Bois. Don't you miss it.
Understanding the financial impact of job loss, First National Bank offers job loss insurance, specially designed to provide our customers support during such uncertain times. In the event you lose your job, coverage provides a financial cushion, easing your worries while helping you navigate career transitions. This coverage ensures that a job loss doesn't have to mean a financial crisis, providing you with the support that you need when you need it most. We are committed to standing by our customers in all of life's ups and downs. Our job loss insurance is more than just a policy. It's a promise of support, offering peace of mind and financial stability, ensuring that you can face career challenges without the added burden of financial stress. First National Bank, here for you.
Wonderful. Nicole, and we are back. For those of you who are just joining us, whether it's via frequency or whether you logged on to one of our viewing platforms, we welcome you. This is She Speaks for today. Today is Tuesday, and we've got Amy Casselle, Dr. Amy Casselle, in our company this morning. Now, Amy, let's talk about the path that you took. So you were always, like you said, into science. You loved math, and you were trying to figure out a way that you could just marry the both of them. But life was saying to you that this don't go like that. This is not how this works. They cannot come like together in that manner, that fashion. But you somehow believed yes, they could. So walk us through your career path.
Oh my gosh. I'm grateful that I wasn't the only one that thought yes they could. that I had probably some people ahead of me that were like, why aren't we putting the two of them together? Because yeah, um so so during my time at convent, I in my third year, when you get to start choosing what you want to do, um my mom was like, well, we're going to put you in the sciences because you like math. You're good with the sciences, let's do that. And I had thought to myself, okay, that's great, but you don't exactly know what you're going to do. And I mean, I think it's interesting when you tell a 13, 14-year-old, you're like, okay, let's put you in, like, what subjects do you want to do for the rest of your life? Because there's a very good chance you have no idea what you want to do.
Yes.
I just wanted to get out of secondary school. I don't know what else I wanted to do. Um, but I had a uncle who was a ER physician out in Nebraska, and it was one of those things that we were thinking, well, okay, if I'm doing sciences, obviously you go into medicine. That seemed kind of the path. Medicine, dentistry, something to do in that kind of field. But I had never even considered anything past it. It was just one of those things I had looked into. I had thought maybe going to the medical school in Grenada or something like that. And my uncle had said, you should come here. Like, you can chat with me, see what you like about it, and see if you really enjoy it, which I did not. I'm so squeamish that I will see blood, I will turn ash white, and I will possibly faint. Um, and
Oh.
I had to realize very quickly this is not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do this. But yeah, I had decided there's an undergrad program called biotechnology, which is essentially the idea um, of of using biology for um, for furthering either medical or technological, all of these kinds of concepts. And it kind of seemed like the right path. I didn't exactly know what I was doing. And I had to take Calc 1 as the only math class I needed. And I remember thinking, that's not enough. I love math. I really need to try and get a little bit more in there. And so I had continued with math. I ended up doing a minor in math while I was doing my undergrad because I was just so afraid of just not doing mathematics. And so I had been like, okay, well, can I do the two? Like, is there a way I can do biology and mathematics? Is that a concept? And it didn't exactly seem like it. I had actually spoken to a professor who said, no, you don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none. And I look back at that, I'm like, oh, that's such a really awful thing to tell someone because, I mean, why not try and put things together? I feel like we shouldn't keep things in boxes and just leave it in boxes. So I did a master's in mathematics because I thought, well, I need to do one of them, obviously. And that was when I really started seeing that no, especially in mathematics, they show you that there are so many ways math can be used. And I was so fascinated by that. It was interesting to go back and think of all of those things I had learned in biology in a mathematical sense that I hadn't even considered. Like if a gene turns on, like what's turning that gene on? Like is there some sort of possibility or probability for it? Those kinds of things just seem so interesting to me. And that was when I realized that no, there are programs that kind of marry that mathematics and marry that biology together. Um, and so I was really lucky in that sense where realizing I didn't want to do medicine, but thinking, okay, well, I still want to do sciences. What is there out there that I could do that included sciences, that included math, that included biology, and realizing that there is just this whole field of research that I didn't even know as a teenager that you could do. I mean, it was just such a vast concept that I hadn't considered. I didn't even know was a possibility. My only knowledge of research was those first labs that you would take in secondary
Right.
school for biology and chemistry, where you're like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing this, and I know I need it for my CXC, so I guess that's what I'm doing.
Right.
But I mean,
Oh.
those were so integral in those initial in these initial labs that I did in my undergrad, where you have to write those methods and write down your discussions and your results, and it's funny how it just kind of all came together. And I'm so glad it all came together, and I'm so glad I was able to find a way to include that first start of mathematics. And include that biology and kind of just put the two together in something that I was enjoying to do.
Right. So your title right now is computational biologist.
Mhm.
That's the field that you're into. Yeah, I'm ignorant, and I'm sure a lot of us. What does that mean? What does that really mean? What are you doing?
You know, it's as I said, it's a very broad field, and it really can be so many different things. Because some people call it computational biologist, some might call it a data analyst or a data biologist or bioinformatics. There's a lot of words for essentially just saying that we're dealing with very large data sets and trying to come up with some modeling method, and that model is usually where that mathematics comes in, to try and make it a little bit simpler for studying. And it might not exactly be accurate. A lot of times it isn't, but it's a good starting point. It's incredibly beneficial for just the field of biology, because something that that has come about and we realize is biology is expensive. A lot of those
Yeah.
research that they're doing, it's so expensive. So if you can have a computational biologist on the team that can say, hey, let me take what data you have, let's play with it, let's see what we can get out of it, and then I can come up and say, all right, based on the data that I've given, here are some path forwards that you might want to test. And it just means that it's going to minimize the time, minimize the cost in a lot of those fields. So it's going to just kind of make you able to just focus a little bit more on where you might need to be.
Okay. So you in the data part of it, not the testing part of it.
Yes.
You're in the data part of it.
Yes.
Um.
My time is usually just spent behind a computer. I do all this programming stuff and just be like, let's make a little
Ah.
program and someone else go out in the field for me because
Right. Do you ever you don't feel the need for the field? Do you have a passion for the field? No.
yeah,
Well, so when you do, after you've done all of these, computation with all of these data, and don't you get curious to wanna try it out to make sure it works yourself? Like,
I like the idea of telling someone else to do it for me. I will say we there's this huge worldwide study that's being done on river systems, and they didn't test any rivers in Nebraska other than one very up north in Nebraska. And so we had thought, okay, well, since we're part with collaborators with that, like send us all of this stuff, we'll do one near us and we'll test the river. And so I somehow got recruited into doing this. And so there we are out in the middle of late winter at this river testing, like getting water samples, getting oxygen levels. And I remember thinking, this is why I don't do field work. This is,
so you don't, yeah, the field work is not for you. But you do soil testing. You do a lot of you
yeah.
specifically cover the soil.
Yes, yes. So my work with we have some collaborators at one of the national labs in the U.S. where they are looking at different soil samples and trying to see how those tiny little microbes in the soil, how they work together to degrade these large carbohydrates. So like cellulose, which is what plants are made out of, or chitin, which is what insects are made out of. A lot of that eventually dies, ends up in the soil, and it's eventually going to be degraded. And it's degraded by these tiny little molecules, these tiny little microbes in the soil. But it's so important for plant growth because plants can't. The only thing that they really make is carbon. They don't have any of these other elements that they need: nitrogen,
Ah.
phosphorus, all that kind of stuff. Like you think of bananas, those that potassium system kind of thing. Like they have to have all of these pathways of getting a lot of those elements in them, and it comes from microbes. So microbes and plants kind of just work together. They have a little system where they'll be like, hey, you give me carbon, I'll give you nitrogen, I'll give you phosphorus or sulfur or something like that.
Right.
And
So
so
through
we take a look at that.
right. So through your data, you're now able to say, well, all right, this particular soil sample here might be best for growing so and so, or this might be best for growing that based on what it needs to flourish. You That's what your data is meant to establish.
So we look more actually at the microbes itself. So we might say, okay, so these microbes are doing the degradation part. But
Oh,
as a community, they work a lot better. And so it's kind of one of those things you can then say, hey, maybe we need to integrate new microbes
ah,
into the soil. Or maybe we need to integrate new types of stuff. So more chitin into the soil. That's a great source of
ah,
nitrogen. And
wow.
it's moving a lot to that. It's really interesting when you think about the fact that our agricultural practices are changing so rapidly and actually going backwards in a way. As an
Yes.
example for that, there's the concept of tilling soil
Till the side.
after you've had a growth of corn or wheat or something like that. Um, that's not something that was done decades or hundreds of years ago. And they're realizing now tilling is actually not great for soil. It's not great for the microbes in the soil. And so a lot of these fields are now moving towards no-till practices where they'll
Wow.
just be like, just leave it as it is. That way we're going to just get a very healthy soil that's going to help with plant growth.
Wow. Okay, Amy, we have about 8 minutes left. Now, I want to talk because now, like you mentioned, things are rapidly changing around in terms
Mm,
of crop production, in terms of diversification. We're talking a lot in these parts in the Caribbean region about sustainability, food sustainability, and food security, and
right.
stuff of that sort. How does what you do? How can that enhance that direction within the Caribbean system?
Quite. We're learning a lot of things in terms of fertilizers, like a lot of fertilizers that are being used. We're going towards a lot more natural pathways when it comes to fertilizers. So instead of using a nitrogen fertilizer, you'll instead just add chitin. And I mean, you have chitin everywhere, especially in the Caribbean. Chitin is is what makes up all the shells of our crustaceans, so shrimp, crabs, etc., like that. Stuff like that can be used as a natural fertilizer. And it's so beneficial for the soil that you don't actually think about, but it's a great way. And so people are moving towards practices like that to try and help with their plant growth. So yeah, no, it's incredibly it's important. It's one of those things that I think, I mean, even in the U.S. where they talk a lot, there's a big deal on how to make sure that we do have enough food,
Yes.
enough plants and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting field and it's a really important field and it's so important in the Caribbean as well. And you're right, especially I mean, and it's not something that is studied enough in the Caribbean. It's something that I would love to see a lot more studied. I'd love to eventually have my own lab where I can say, okay, cool, let's get some actual samples from St. Lucia. Let's get some samples from other Caribbean islands and see what things are looking like. See how we can help our own farmers and help because I mean not just with making more plants, but making it less expensive. I mean,
Yes.
it's an expensive field. It's not something that you just say, hey, just grow this and be done. I mean, with climate change as it is, it's one of those things that we really have to kind of just figure out how we can make things less expensive, more affordable to the people, um, and more sturdy and more heat resistant, so more temperature resistant, those kinds of things.
Good quality, better quality
Mm.
at that. Amy, you are amazing. We've got 5 minutes left, and I would like to open up the floor for you in terms of, speaking to young persons like yourself who might be out there trying to figure out their path in life. You had to figure that out. You have, well, we can say you have done so. For now, you have tracked out a path for yourself, and it's not the conventional one. And these days we have a lot of young people who are battling in the head trying to figure out, because we've been thought that this is the path, this is where you have to go. This is the thing that makes sense. And we are seeing more and more young people wanting to deviate and start to be, more complete and more hands-on with different things of the things that surround us. So if you were to inspire some of the young people, young ladies in particular, that are listening right now, in terms of trekking forward, following their dreams or their passion, whatever has been written upon their heart, what would you say?
Oh, there's so much I'd like to say. I'd like to say, first of all, just kind of start looking out there. Don't, there's no question that is dumb enough to not have, that should not be questioned. Always try and just and question every little thing. It's one of those things that's where that kind of creation starts. That's where you get those little ideas. And so if you find that you have an interest in certain things, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do all of it. um, that whole thing about jack of all trades, master of none, that's not an accurate statement. You really just kind of want to find what you love, and kind of just go out there and see what is available. I have a friend that just got her PhD in Melbourne, Australia, also from St. Lucia. And it's really cool to see all of the programs out there that you don't actually think of, that you can't even consider at the time where you're going into. But there is quite a bit out there. There's a lot of opportunities if you kind of just look for it. And reach out to those around you if you think that you have anyone that might have done something like it. Or, I mean, when it came to me, I remember speaking a lot to my math teacher back at convent, because I was just so fascinated, like, what could I do with math? That's maybe not teaching. But yeah, there's so many jobs out there. There's so many different titles you can give yourself. You could make yourself a whole new title if you wanted to.
Certainly. Amy, you are awesome and very inspiring this morning. Thank you. We're happy to have had you on the show this morning. We really, really do appreciate it. We want to wish you the best. And we can't wait for when you get back home, 'Cause I think
Oh,
we need, listen, it was coming, right? We need what you're doing. Well, you seem to have a nice knack for making things happen, in a direction. So maybe you don't need to come back home if you don't wanna, but I'm sure you'll find a way to ensure that that sort of intelligence
let
can be
me just
utilized
say, I
back home.
miss the warmth right now so much. Oh,
I know. Oh, it's cold in Nebraska, ain't it?
you
Is it
know,
really cold?
it's just it's miserable sometimes, especially February.
Oh my God. Well, we don't envy you, but we're going to try to send some sunshine your way because it's really, I'm going to rub it in a little bit. It's nice and sunny out here today. Yeah. And then we've got jazz, and then we've got
Yeah.
cricket, and then we've got, sorry, Amy.
I get none of that. Thank you.
Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of day. And of course, we want to continue to wish you all the best in your path. And we can't wait to see what the future holds.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Wonderful. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye. So there you have it, guys. That's Amy Casselle, and she was our amazing guest this morning. She is a computational biologist, and she's St. Lucian, living in Nebraska. She's doing some great, great stuff over there. The data and collecting them and all of that. So, oops, did I take her out? Oh, I don't know what's going on here with me with this. But anyways, guys, join us again next Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have next Tuesday. No, yeah, we have. It's a Wednesday, it's a holiday. I trying to make sure I understand what's going on here for me, please. The Caribbean in me, it jumped already. So next Tuesday, hopefully we'll be back here again with another St. Lucian, sharing this story with the hope of inspiring. Thank you to the First National Bank and also to Courts. We do appreciate you a whole lot.
Home is a haven of comfort and memories, and at First National Bank, we understand the emotional and financial investment it represents. That's why our home insurance policies offered to our mortgage loan customers through our trusted partners are designed to be both comprehensive and financially considerate. These policies cover a myriad of events, from natural disasters to burglary and theft, offering you the best protection without the stress of high costs. We are committed to providing a sense of security that extends beyond the physical aspects of your home. Our goal is to ensure that every customer has the peace of mind that comes with knowing that their home is well protected without the pressure of overwhelming insurance costs. With First National Bank, safeguarding your home is not just affordable, it's a reflection of our commitment to your well-being and financial peace of mind. First National Bank, here for you.
Courtyard sale is back and it's better than ever. Get ridiculously low prices on